Hello, everybody. Welcome to another edition of the NB Poli Pod. I'm here today with my co-host, Brent Harris, and special guest, Shawn Rouse. Hello, gentlemen.
Oh, hi.
Great to have
There we
y'all
go.
here.
Awesome.
Frequent guest.
Frequent guest, 5-time plus member
Oh,
now of
thank you
the
for having
Jackie
me.
Club. We're so glad you're back, Shawn. So we're here in Menaquis, St. John, New Brunswick, the unceded territory of the Wolastoqey, Mi'kmaq, and Pescataway peoples. And today we're going to be doing a bit of a candidate roundup. Who's declared. We're going to focus on a few ridings here to get us started. This will be a multi-episode series because we got 30 candidates from the Liberals who've declared. We have 28 from the Greens. We have a big old question mark from the PCs, as usual with these things. So we're just waiting to hear how many they're going to hopefully announce here soon. And we're going to start week by week looking at a few different key ridings and filling you all in on that. And we're also today, though, going to kick it off with a municipal update because much to both my and Shawn's surprise, I think Brent's too.
Yeah.
There was a by-election of 6 different municipalities on May 6th. So just 11 days ago.
Listen,
9 days ago.
Yeah, 9 days ago. I feel like your field correspondence here. Because where was the media on this? I did find one article, but it is pretty much the epitome of an example of what happens when you have the downfall and the demise of the local media. No one's talking about the fact that we just had 6 by-elections in this province for brand new municipalities, because if anybody's been tracking this stuff for the past 4 years, actually now, since we've gotten council, Joe, there was hey, we're doing municipal reform, and then there was, hey, here's what it looks like, and here are the election dates, and then, oh, here are the election dates, and then we had an extra year added to our cycle as elected officials, because we wanted to align with the new municipalities. And now we're here 2 years after electoral reform, after the original first of their kind or new municipality electoral nominations, polls. And we have 6 to redo because
actually 18 months because they did those elections of November of 2022.
Yeah. So it was so funny. I said that to you, Shawn. You were like, I didn't know either.
I thought you meant they're coming up, because how could we have municipal elections and no one's talking about them? Literally, I listened to the news nonstop and no one has mentioned this on any newscast.
Yeah, and you also do one better than that. You also follow the Ledge and daily Ledge updates and members' comments and stuff, and nobody even mentioned it.
I haven't seen it anywhere, literally nowhere. So it's I was really surprised.
Yeah, so May 6th, there was by-elections for Arcadia, Carleton North, Grand Lake, Ile-de-la-Mecque, Lakeland Ridges, and Nakawik. And so let's go through them one by one. First of all, we had 2,073 people vote over these 6 municipalities, which accounted for 29% of all the electorate who could vote, which is...
Oosh. By-elections aren't great, though.
By-elections aren't good. Municipal elections aren't good.
Rural municipal elections.
They're rural. All of them are rural. So we're going to go through them. I'm just going to mention just the names of who won and who ran and where. But I'm going to focus on 2 that we will remember. So in Arcadia, which is near Grand Lake, I believe, there was no competition for Ward 3 councillor who could have resigned. I'm not sure what the conditions of that were. I didn't have the time to look that up. As a matter of fact, I was looking up a bunch of folks on Facebook, because Facebook keeps better results than Google on most things, and I couldn't even find candidate pages. So there wasn't much effort put into these in quite honesty. But Harry Thompson is your new Ward 3 representative by acclamation. So nobody ran against him. In Carlton North, now this was one of 3 hotly contested elections, which we know nothing about. So if anybody on the NB Polypod is listening in and you know something about this, this is your chance to get the insider scoop and a tip of my hat. If I had it on front, I would show you how I'm tipping my hat. My hat's backwards tonight, so I can't show you the tip of my hat. But I would love to know more about this. But in Carlton North, we had Ryan Dickinson up against Corey Goodwin and Sil Amos, and it was a 32 person split between Ryan Dickinson and Corey Goodwin. Ryan Dickinson did come out on top for that ward election. In Grand Lake, now this is an interesting one. And I want to make sure I bring it up here so that we can see Grand Lake. But in Grand Lake, we had Mike Richardson? Yes, Mike Richardson, who is the deputy mayor. Now, what I can't figure out, because I can't find it anywhere, who was it that stepped down for Ward 2? This is one of those ridings that, if you remember back in 2022, there was an article that came out by Aidan Cox on CBC, and the title is this: Minto and Chipman are ready to set aside differences for new municipalities, says Grand Lake leaders. And so there was some new, wrinkles to iron out with the joining of this municipality of Grand Lake. And Minto and Chipman are the two larger communities that are in that area. Of course, correct me if I'm wrong, but wasn't Chris Austin the mayor of Chipman? Or
I didn't think he was the mayor. I thought he was a councillor, but I could be wrong.
Isn't he? He is the MLA for this. Yeah, sure. I know I'm speaking out of school here, but so Jen Richardson, this is the one that I found interesting. There's a Ward 2 election, and Jen Richardson is going up against Matthew Richardson.
He was deputy mayor.
Deputy mayor, yeah.
Oh, Matt. What? Sorry, it was Matt who was the deputy mayor. Okay, sorry, I miss.
Austin was the deputy mayor. Sorry, that's what I was.
Yeah.
Oh, you were saying, okay.
Yeah.
So, and I just gotta take a peek here. If I go to, I got it up here on my screen. I would share it, but this Election New Brunswick website is a little bit strange. It's hard to understand. So Grand Lake. So Jen and Matt were up against, it was 396 to 363. And if you go and you look at Ward 2, you will see there's a different Richardson who is the deputy mayor. So there's a lot of Richardsons who have come to bear in Grand Lake. One of them was the deputy mayor, and I am not sure if he stepped down or what. But I'm looking at Grand Lake right now and wondering if there's like a Romeo and Juliet, what are the two family names?
Montague and Capulets.
Yes. Are we looking at two sides of a Richardson story here? Because where I'm from in Charlotte County, you've got Richardsons that are in Deer Island and in Back Bay area. But then there's other Richardsons that are in the province that have no relation. Just like I'm a Harris from down in Charlotte County, and I'm not related to any Harrises here in the city of St. John. So I don't know what's going on here, but they're all in Ward 2. They're all Richardsons, and the winner was Jennifer Richardson at 396 to 367. So it was tight. So that was one of our tidbits here. That was one of the ones we're going to go a little deeper on. Ile de Mac had 2 wards that were running, Ward 3 and Ward 5. Leisha Saison won Ward 3 at 129 to 29 votes to Christian Duguay. Wow. And then in Ward 5, we had Stefan, I think it's Gadet, but I may have spelled that wrong. And I'm sorry if I did, Stefan. It's 112 to 91, and Adrian Chasson was the competition. Nakawick, Stephen Meldrum was acclaimed, so no competition there. Now, this is the other hot spot. Lakeland Ridges, Mayor Leonard Foster, 229. He won that. If you remember, back in 2023, the province took this municipality
Right.
over. So this was one of these things where all of a sudden rural municipal politics did kind of enter into the provincial, I guess, rumor mill, and then news reel, and then everything. What do you guys remember about Lakeland Ridges?
I just remember it's one of those wild stories every once in a while. And it's, I love these stories where, you think it's like an episode of Schitt's Creek where there's this place that no one's heard of. And there's a small group of people who just care enormously about it. And they're just completely at war with each other. And, outside, 20 kilometers outside the town, no one is aware of it. This is what this kind of sounds like to me. And then it just got so bad that everyone walked away, and someone called the province and said, "You better come over because things have fallen apart here in this new municipality." And is this all drawn because they smashed a couple of places together that didn't really get along, and there was legacy tension there? So I'd definitely like to hear more about what happened there.
Well, and Joe, what do you remember? I'll go to you first.
Well, I know that there was, I think it was like two sides of council, and then one who sided with the mayor, one who didn't. And they had to get the province to sweep in to play sort of referee to this scenario. And it's kind of showcasing how they want to do some of this regional service commission stuff, like just how the province does want to have oversight on municipalities and wants to exercise some of this power if needed. And unfortunately, I think examples like Lakeland, or maybe it's Lakeland Ridges.
Well, it's spelled, it's spelled L-A-K-E land. So Lakeland.
Lakeland.
But I mean, yep.
I just think that there's enough going on in some of these municipalities that they are feeling that they're required, their services are required. So, it seems like this mayor feels that she was hard done by, though, from what I remember.
Yeah, so that mayor, man, this really does feel like we're breaking news because, like, we all follow the news and we don't know about this. I feel like I'm like, I have to
Not a clue.
Yeah, isn't this bizarre? So Tanya Colche, am I saying that right? Clouche, sorry, was the mayor of Lakeland Ridges. Now, she, along with, I do believe it's 2 councillors, but maybe it was 1, were in the papers, over a bunch of different places, a while back. And the story would have originally broke in 2023, August 11th. Yeah. Sorry. And, you got quotes like, Glenn Savoy saying he would not. He was the Minister of Local Government at the time, of course, MLA Glenn Savoy from East St. John, citing that the Municipality Act allows the province, when they can't pay their bills, in one sense, when there isn't enough councillors for quorum in a second, or when council is, quote, not able to carry on the business of a council. So there's 3 occasions which Glenn Savoy cited as when the province can intervene, and he wouldn't say which of the 3 was the reason that he had to intervene as minister, but he certainly did. The province took over this municipality only a year or less than a year after it had been stood up in the first place, because Tanya Clouche and other members of council were just not able to, overcome a lot of vitriol and bad mouthing. And, I'm trying to find this quote on this article from CBC. There was one I found earlier.
It looks like No, just scanning the story again
Yep.
as you're talking. It does sound like it was a piece by Jacques Bertrand. I think the theme of the story is these hastily pasted together municipalities. There's a couple of them where it's not working out so well. This being one of them, and then there was another one as well mentioned here. I'll have to find it as well.
Yeah, but you're right. Like there
Bell Bay.
was. Oh, but okay, yes. I see the quote here. It's been a lot of bickering over the way things should be done and who has the authority to do what, said one member of council. If their intention originally was to see to it that this didn't work, then I guess they got their wish. So there was a real stab at the province from this municipality, saying they were set up to fail, and the mayor and a councillor resigned. And now this is, and I won't go any further. I'll let you guys take it any further if you want to. But here's the thing I found interesting. Leonard Foster, Lance Royden Graham, and Eric Milton ran for the mayorship after Tanya Cloutier said, I'm done. I'm not doing this. In Ward 4, Dustin Buckingham was acclaimed. There was nobody running against him. But for mayor, you had a three-way split. Now, Leonard Foster won 229 of these votes against 181 to Lance and 148 to Eric. So no big win here for anybody.
No, not really.
Yeah, very close amongst them. But when I went on Leonard Foster's Facebook page up there in Canterbury, he has 88 friends on Facebook, one of which is Blaine Higgs, one of which is Erica Hashi, who we are going to mention later on in this show.
Yeah, she had a little bit of a bump this week.
So
yeah.
I wonder if the other two are also friends with Erica and Blaine, though. If you could find them. But that's really interesting because you wonder if they were like, oh, look at like, hey, guys, or like got through to them. Are they friends with Chris Austin? I wonder.
I didn't see Chris.
You never know.
Yeah,
2,600 people in this place.
Yes.
Yep. No, anyway, so I don't know.
It's know more now. Now I'm interested. We'll have to dig deeper on this.
I think for the sake of this pod, our hypothesis can be that Lakeland Riches, is the center point for very interesting intrigue for New Brunswick political science, and let's get somebody on the case.
I think there's a Manatee article here that needs to be dug up and refined.
Nice.
Someone, I think.
That's right. We know somebody at the Manatee.
We know somebody, exactly. Let them check that out. Fascinating. Just little municipal plants all over the province, thanks to the premier. Make things a little easier. Yeah. Other than us two rabble rousers down here in St. John.
Well, I actually flirted with the idea of naming this podcast PC Sleeper Candidate Takes Mayorship in Lakeland Ridges.
But very well could be. Well, Blaine still needs a lot of candidates, so
yes.
I don't think he's going to be too choosy here very soon.
It was a very bizarre effort to try and find the PC candidates, but I don't know if you have any more municipal updates.
Nope, that's it for me.
Bridge into that because
I took way too long. I'm so sorry. I got very into it.
The more you got into it, the more I got into it. So it's very infectious.
Yes, I mean this rural politics is hard hitting. It really is. To have 3 people try to go for the mayorship, that's actually pretty impressive.
Yes, exactly.
Considering so. But on that note about sort of the way PCs do politics, it has been really challenging to find the up and coming candidates. I know there was a woman named Jody, I think it was McKee or something like that, who was announced. But I was, again, digging around Facebook. They tweet and post so much. It's wild. It's like it must be in the Outhouse era because there is so much content that's on PCNB's site. So obviously we know about Faytine. That's been the all-star candidate. But if it's kind of funny, if you look at the PCNB Facebook page, the number one liker of every single post is Blaine Higgs, and it's Blaine Higgs's like fan page. It's not his personal.
Yeah.
Shawn, I think you noticed. You saw that.
Oh, I totally noticed it because I
Yeah.
spent some time on that page, particularly because Steve Outhouse has been creating these rage farming dog whistle ads about trans kids, which I find so offensive, being the parent of a
Yeah.
trans child. And I always go on there and cuss them out. So while I'm on that
Good.
page, I'm actually a Facebook top fan of the PC page because I commented so much. So what can I
Oh,
say?
man.
Well, you and
But
Blaine would be the top two.
me and Blaine, exactly. Yeah. No, there's a couple of hardcores. I don't know if they're real people, honestly. It's like I kind of hope they're not because they have a lot of opinions that I find outrageous. But anyways, yeah, it's an interesting page to stop by. But as you said, Joanna, there was, every post that's made, Blaine likes it himself. So good for you, Blaine. That's a no-no in the social media era, but we know
Can't
you're
like your
far
own posts,
removed.
man.
No, just don't do it. It's lame. No matter how much you're tempted, it's
Yeah.
Well, I honestly thought that there'd be a lot more action on the PCNB feed, like that there'd be comments and likes and all this kind of stuff. So Outhouse is like social media strategy.
They certainly
I don't
have
know.
enough money to buy likes. Like at this point in time, you can buy about 20,000 Russian bots for about, $10,000. Like there's
in all seriousness, Blaine's tweets, there'll be, 3 likes, 5 likes, 20 likes on something, and then there'll be one that gets, 900 likes and 17,000 views. And you boosted that somehow. Like, come on. This is I don't have evidence, but
yeah.
what's that, Bill Maher? I don't have evidence, but I know it's true. Like, that's not, you guys did something. You bought some likes for that one because it said something about Trudeau and you wanted to blow it up because
That's right.
you guys
Well, I
are
mean, anytime
Trudeau obsessed.
Yeah, if I went on there and said, F Trudeau, we're going to take over, we're going to take back the government for the people, and we're going to blah, 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 I could get probably 600 likes as well. But like, it's ridiculous. So
anyway. with like that though, like the Liberals' genuine engagement, the Greens' genuine engagement, and so pretty similar where they're at right now with the Liberals having 30 candidates declared, and that was as of April 25th. They announced that about like a third of that is women or gender diverse people, and then for the Greens, of their 28 candidates, it's about 50% gender parity there. So they're full out working away at getting candidates. Much different strategy from what we're seeing from the PCs. But we do have a little post-it of 4 ridings we're going to look at tonight. And we're going to kick it off with a NB Poli Pod fan favorite of the Hampton riding with Fateen, with Laura Myers from the Greens, the riding next door to Shawn, and then newly declared John Harone. So there was a big showing for his announcement for the Liberals just this past week, I believe. Like they had a full
this
house
past
at
weekend. Or Hampton Middle School, maybe. Yeah.
Right.
But well attended. A lot of dignitaries there, and people were predicting that Crosman would be there, and they were saying, maybe Arlene Dunn would be there. Didn't see those, but we did see Bev Harrison, who is PC. Georgie Day would have been there. Everyone knows Georgie Day, of course. Rolly McIntyre was there. So some of the old guard Liberals. But in the back row, and they kind of made a big joke out of this, there was a lot of PCs that were, would have said sort of the old guard or from the riding association, and they said, thanks so much, guys. We know you don't support what's happening. You didn't support what happened at Christmas time. You don't support the kind of candidate that the party has chosen, and you've chosen to support, a red Tory or centrist that's, socially liberal and physically conservative, and that's that's the kind of guy he is. He's the CEO of the New Brunswick Business Council, so it's not like he's a guy who's anti-business. He's fairly friendly and a safe vote. He's got that long Tory history,
Can I
both
give you?
here in New Brunswick. Yeah, go ahead.
I just wanted to jump in on John Heron. I actually had a meeting with him a few months ago about this initiative that I'm doing down here around vacant buildings and trying to go after them for housing. And I have to say, the guy was tremendously enthusiastic about what I had to share, but also about the political spectrum. I met him at a little social enterprise hub coffee shop here in the city, and I can see the appeal to somebody like John because he does not fit the status quo business, first type conservative, and we see it in his history. That's what I wanted to comment on before you go back to the kind of the riding wide update, Joe. In 2004, we'll start I'm going to go right back to the beginning of his career. So he's Kentville, Nova Scotia. That's where he's from. Didn't know that. I don't know when he moved to the Fundy Royal area, where he ran as an MP for the Progressive Conservative Party in 1997. He beat Paul Zed, who ran for the Liberals, and the Reforms and the NDP were contenders there. The Reform Party was quite a contender. John Heron had 16,715 votes. Paul Zed had 10,192 votes. So it was a pretty definitive win. The Reform Party coming in pretty strong outside of the West, where they originated, at 9,000 votes. And then in 2000, again, winning against John King and Rob Moore, who ran for the Alliance. So Rob Moore runs for the Alliance against John Heron. John Heron beats him again as a progressive conservative with 15,000 votes. He just lost about 1,000 votes there between 97 and 2000. But by 2004, John Heron is running for the Liberals against conservative Rob Moore, because, of course, Rob Moore ran for the Alliance, who joined parties with the Conservatives. This is a good, I actually really love this Canadian political history kind of piece here. I didn't realize he was as central to it until I just stumbled upon this Wikipedia. But yeah, so John ran for the Liberals in 2004. I do believe that would have been for Paul Martin. He got 11,000 votes. Rob Moore got 14,997, so almost 15,000 votes. Pretty big win for Rob Moore.
And that's who we've had ever since, right?
That's correct.
That's been yeah. Wow.
Yeah. Interesting. I forgot that Rob ran for the Alliance. That's I guess it's 24 years ago, but still, that's a little piece of history there.
Yeah, long career.
Yeah,
long career. He looks good. Like he really looks.
It's not like Barack Obama, who aged 37 years in 2.5 years. Poor guy.
Too,
I know.
Yeah, no, I think it's for Hampton though, like, who has only been Liberal once in their entire history. It's interesting to see the community kind of uniting around him in a different way against this like outside force that is Fétine.
Yeah, and the speeches were from everybody, just not him. It was in the paper, so a lot of folks saw John's speech. He sort of expounded on it and went further from what was printed, but they did mention, without really, it was very explicit that Fétine was coming in as an outsider, didn't know the riding, didn't know the people, had no history there, and didn't reflect New Brunswick values. All the speakers, and these were mostly people, friends of John Heron, who just came to speak on his behalf, who made these sort of comments. And besides just praising John and his long record of community involvement, spanning decades in the region, also mentioned, just offhand, no one called her out, I think, too many times by name, but there's definitely that sentiment there that this is an outsider with values that do not reflect this part of the world, and somebody who needs to be stopped, and we're all coming together to make sure it happens. So fingers crossed it happens. We all I don't know many people, myself especially, who have any fond thoughts about Faytine winning.
Certainly we don't, but we'd be remiss if we didn't mention Laura Myers, who's running there for the Greens, who was the first candidate out in front. Longtime teacher, has been the first candidate really to hit the ground running before Faytine even. And for a lot of this podcast, when we've been talking about some little tidbits of updates, it's been a Laura Myers versus Faytine kind of scenario. John only getting here. I guess the question mark is open here. Can the Liberals of the provincial ilk escape the gravity of let's call it the black hole of the federal Liberals in a riding like Hampton? John Harone ran for the Liberals once and lost. He ran twice for the Conservatives and won. We don't know that John can win as a Liberal here, even with, a bunch of folks. It's pretty clear to me from the voting record that Hampton is willing to put votes. I won't say just Hampton. My goodness, Fundy Royal is a much bigger riding than just Hampton. That's the MP slot, sorry. But, even I'm trying to remember the name of the riding of... Sorry, you're on mute, Shawn.
Thanks, my dog was barking. Hampton, Fundy, St. Martin's.
Fundy, St. Martin's. Yeah, we go down to St. Martin's. We go all the way up to Sussex. We got is like Appahock in there, Norden, and
I think Appahock, and I'm not sure about Norden actually. I'm not sure where the boundary is, but I think Appahock's in the Sussex riding.
Yeah, you're probably
right. Definitely St. Martin's, if you guys know that part of the province pretty well. It's fairly rural, that the sounds like the community we were just talking about, the 2600 community, Lakeland. What was it? Lakeland Fields?
Lakeland Ridges.
Lakeland Ridges, thank you. So it's fairly small, and a lot of space in between the Outer St. John and that village, and the Fundy trails, sparsely populated. Are they? Who knows how they'd vote? I don't think we have any idea. So I guess we'll see.
We got to know them a little bit on our trip to Newfoundland, actually, because I didn't know this.
Yeah.
But like Simons, Willow Grove, and St. Martin's proper is only like 276 people, but then you add in Willow Grove, and it's like a few thousand alongside Simons, because the mayor of St. Martin's is actually from Simons, and that kind of causes issue, because it's like, well, he's not really from St. Martin's, so there's a lot, like it's exactly like you say. Yeah.
He's not from Cornhill. He's from Petitcodiac. They're different kind of people. Completely different values.
They don't understand us, and they never will.
No.
Kind of thing. And so with that, then you have Hampton lumped in with all of these, 3 separate areas, and all, like, how do you expect cohesion amongst the voting block, right? Like, it'll be so interesting to see where their heads are at.
Yeah, I'm seeing here now, it covers actually part of Rossay as well. It goes right to the border of St. John. Yep. It goes right to the border of St. John, Quispamsis. It includes a touch of Rossay just down there around, oh my gosh, French Village area. And
of course.
Yeah, and it goes right up to Valley Waters. That's I think what you were probably thinking of, Shawn. Fundy Rural District is on the other side of it. But yeah, Hampton, Fundy St. Martin's, Fundy Rural District. It goes a long way. It includes a big swath of land, number 27. I said to Joe the other day, and I know we've taken a lot of time up here on this one riding, but it is an interesting one to watch. It's no doubt.
Absolutely.
It's going to be the one to watch. One of a few for sure. where it really is. I think this is a three-way race. I think there are a number of people in this riding who would rather crawl over broken glass than vote for anybody but the Conservatives. I think that John Harone is going to bring a pretty heavy pull. And I think Laura Myers being the first out and being an alternative, she's going to galvanize on some of those people who voted Alliance, who voted for the Reform Party, who voted for the NDP. And there's still thousands of them around this area who have done that. This riding has about 10,000 voters in it. So it is a pretty interesting one. There's no question.
I just looked up some election NB results for it. So 60% turnout in that riding, which is fairly
Wow.
good.
That's high.
60.8. Yeah. And it was Gary Crossman had 43.51. And second place, the now Liberal Party president, who was actually there on Saturday at Heron's nomination, is Carly Parrish. She was second place with 1,084. So heavy PC riding. How's it going to go? And just to echo what you said about Laura, I mean, she's definitely smart, very engaged candidate, someone who wants to get involved, who's really, I think, honest and straightforward. I don't know if people will take a chance on her and risk 18 getting in. I think that's where the word's got to get out. And I think it's just going to be the true believer Greens that vote for her, people who can't hold their nose and vote Liberal. And incidentally, the candidate for the NDP in that riding in the last election was Alex White.
Alex White, yes.
Oh my gosh.
Yep.
Hampton, holy moly. Just a lot going on there over the years.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah, exactly.
And these boundary changes really upset our math too, right? Like, this is a whole new ball game when it comes to predictions, because we have to kind of carve out some of these polls in other places to see how they performed and look at that more closely. So that will be all of our work to do if we're going to be the official candidate review panel.
Yeah, and the Fundy St. Martin's was heavily part of Sussex in the last election too.
That's right.
Again, Tammy Scott Wallace had a landslide there. So,
and Tam, she's in trouble now. We talked about that.
I think she's coming back. There's no question she's not reoffering. Like the way she's
for sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
And but the second place in that riding was the Alliance guy, Jim Bedford. So,
and that's what that's kind of what I mean about this. This is why I am gonna come out and say this is a bellwether riding. And I know you, Joe, you're probably like, oh my God, we have so many other ridings to get through. But like,
we have 20 minutes.
Conservatives do not go to the Liberal Party easily. Like, they would rather shoot themselves than go to the Liberal Party normally. So where you have an alliance, place, in many ways, the Alliance Party taking it. Like, Joe, you and I were at a Bruce Dreyer's nomination meeting. And, we ran into some Alliance people at his nomination. And I was just like, it doesn't surprise me, because the Greens have that libertarian bent where where you can't qualify them the same way the NDP are. They're not this left-wing, centralizing party. So it is a really hard tell, like with Laura being this, beloved teacher and an intelligent, I mean, the girl's on TikTok already, and I just saw I saw one of her TikToks pop up, and she had 80 likes on it. Now, when I ran, I was on TikTok, and I would get hundreds of likes, and then nothing, and then 10, and then nothing, and you didn't know what to make of it. And obviously didn't win, but did okay. Finished second. So I don't know. It's like you have to. You're right though, Shawn. I think your point about the word has to get out. Like, that's the only opportunity.
Green success is always in getting those new voters to the polls. It's never turning others around and changing minds in that same way. So it's like taking that 40% and seeing what you can get to show up there. So that is Laura's very exciting battle to have.
Yeah.
And I mean, John and Faye teens as well. Like, how do you, it's a pretty great turnout. So we'll see what they naturally do. And then,
Yeah. Well, I was thinking to myself, that's the riding next door. I mean, I live in the Premier's riding, so if I was going to volunteer somewhere, definitely that's someplace I'd put some horsepower. It was a 10-15 minute drive away to get there.
Fair enough. Yep.
But when I got there, like, you get the impression there is a huge organization around John there to support him, of PCs, of liberals, of people who've never been involved with politics before, just friends of John from the hockey rink, or that he's coached their kids in running club. He's just got a long roster of people he's tapping on to support him. So it's like, geez, I don't think he needs any help from me. This guy is under control. I don't know what I could do for him, because definitely all these people know the riding better than me. So
Interesting.
well, I
We'll
think,
see.
why don't we, I have an idea. So why don't we save our other ridings? Because I really want to flip over to this Fateen related.
Let's talk about it.
Yeah, let's talk about the Erica Hache misogyny piece. And I can be your woman in the room for this conversation.
It would be helpful.
Yes, because apparently the men are just, she's getting everything, men explaining everything to her according to her
Mansplained.
tweets.
Yeah.
She's getting mansplained and saying, in her subsequent tweet that, they're going to be throwing Fateen under the bus next. So recently, Erica Hache retweeted an article that was talking about turmoil within the PC party. And Erica's the president, executive director.
President.
I think it is. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
I think she's got a couple of titles, actually, if I'm being honest. Last time I
Right.
looked.
Because they were getting some criticism for canceling their AGM, which both parties have thrown, like the Greens and the Liberals have already done that. The Liberals threw their biennial, which was huge, that they had to like go through all this policy stuff and do a ton of democracy, a bunch of items there. So you see a stark contrast when it comes to the PCs who don't want to do any of that, don't want to democratically explain very much at anything at all. So Shawn just told me about this right before we jumped on here, and I read through it, and it's like she plays this misogyny card quite often, Erica. She very much has a girl boss sort of mask that she puts on Twitter, where and listen, I've been there. I've been, the girls run the world for sure. Like, that's been a part of my existence as well. So to take something that's very clear, like canceling an AGM, turmoil within the party, people, ministers leaving, all this stuff, and then somehow turn it into this is a misogynistic take on like her own leadership and women running things, and there was men in the article that came out in the subsequent tweets saying, I wasn't describing this as a mansplaining situation. I was just literally saying I think this is a autocratic dictatorship that the party's turned into, and it just to me is like using femininity and using misogyny in a way that completely misses the point of feminism and misses the point of, being an anti bigotry and hate and all that kind of stuff, because we've seen various ways that Miss Hache has been vehemently anti-woman in the abortion stances that she has, in the anti-queer and trans folk stances that she has, that do not at all prescribe to what I would call, I guess, maybe we're getting into the fifth wave of feminism at this point. So she's absolutely offside in using misogyny as a card here, in my opinion.
Yes, she says misogyny often stems from the desire to take a woman down and to put them in their place again. So the higher they climb, the farther they may be made to fall because of it. And so that's a quote. And then she says, I can't wait for the next news story attacking Fateen with quotes from a slew of men. Bad woman, not acting how we want her to. It's exhausting.
Welcome to the pastel patriarchy.
It's like, well, I don't think that's what that story was about. I think it was
No.
everything you just said. And by the way, before we leave this topic, let's talk about why they canceled that, because that was the AGM, because that's a
Yeah,
crazy story too.
please,
Did you
Shawn,
guys hear about
enlighten
this?
us. Not the
I didn't know
reason, just-
why. I have not heard why.
Okay. Well, just on this, I mean, obviously, as you said, Joanna, anti-woman, people who would consider like woman's right to choose as a core woman's issue. Obviously, she is a crusader against that. So, yeah, I think just I'll leave everyone to go find Erica's tweets and read the comments for themselves. I don't want to, to embody them for folks, but yeah, it was definitely laying on quite thick, and sort of playing the victim, which is not like which is something we've talked about Fatine doing a lot. Whenever she gets called out on her stuff, she plays the victim, and here's Erica doing the same thing, and it's like, she's run this Christian nationalist organization for years, and she still works for them. And someone points it out, and it's misogyny. Again,
So
as a guy,
what's
it's
she gonna
hard
do?
for
She's
me
gonna-
to rebuff those accusations.
Well, is she going to
but-
sue them like she tried to sue us? Like, get over it, Fatine. Like, I mean,
look.
you've played your card. You've lost all. I think in this game, you've lost all right and privilege to say that you're a victim when you took thousands of dollars in charitable donations. Potentially, we don't know where the money came from. We know that it was on behalf of her charity that we were issued these notices, and a lawyer wrote us a letter saying cease and desist, or we will be sending you to court, blah, 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 defamation, blah, 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 libel. And, and we fought it, and they dropped it because they were looking for us to do what every other single group of people do. And, Joe, for your part, like, this is like, sure, I'm on here saying I have experience with this woman. I've been to conferences with this woman. I was in the church with this woman. She's a bad actor, and she does not embody what she says she is not who she says she is. As a matter of fact, she's not even from where she says she is half the time, right? Like, she's constantly going back and forth to being from this place or that place. She's born and raised in British Columbia. Like, don't miss it. Like, people have written books about this woman. She is not a good actor, and to me, it's just like, how do you actually in good conscience, like, Erica, seriously, how can you in good conscience hold this person up and say, look, anyway.
I think they know they're stuck with her now. It's not like, they have to try to redeem her because they can't walk away from her. She has recruited too much money for them, too many people for them. She's come to the premier's defense, and as toxic as she's become, I think, compared to any other political candidate we've seen in New Brunswick recently, they can't walk away from her. They can't. What's that line from Brokeback Mountain? I can't quit you. They can't quit her.
You. Can't unring that bell. Like, the bell's been rung.
Right.
So we have to find out why they just didn't happen.
Okay.
Why
So
they canceled it.
Okay, I am going to try to share. Let me try. Because this will be a lot easier if I share.
Not yet. Good.
So this is a story that went by fairly quickly. So there was the AGM. It was getting a bit of flack because the tickets were really expensive there. And they didn't include hotels. There was quite a bit of, I think it was 165 or 185 compared to like the Liberals who had theirs for around 50. I heard the Greens were similar, so a lot more expensive. And you kind of get the feeling that maybe they didn't want people to come. That's sort of it's not like they were trying to make it at a low price point so everyone would show up. But anyways, and then, on May 6th, I think it was, we heard it was canceled, and the story hit, and it was I went to the riding president in Moncton, and Danielle Alain's writing, and who said there's too many progressives there for their liking. There was only 80 people who registered, did the early bird registration, and they were all quote unquote progressives. So that's why they canceled it. And then someone leaked to Andrew Waugh this list of resolutions that were ready to be debated at this AGM. And when you look at it, it's like, oh, no wonder they canceled it, because there's no way they want to debate all of these. So here's I did screen cap a couple of them, and we can read through them here. So this one is clearly a reaction to F18. So it's around candidate nominations. So my tweet was, a collection of motions for candidates nominations is a clear reaction to Higgs' railroading of the Hampton Fundy St. Martin's riding to nominate a Christian nationalist candidate who thinks she can heal the sick and resurrect the dead. That's just facts. Against the wishes of the riding association. So if you look at some of these resolutions that were proposed to be debated, the party has to provide the riding association with a complete list of individuals who've applied for and who've been vetted by the party who want to run. The party shall provide a current and accurate list of all members residing within each provincial region, blah, blah, blah. That one's not too interesting. They have to provide a list of everyone who they've approached to run for them, just so they can be vetted by the membership and the riding associations. So
wait, can I just stop you there, Shawn? Does that mean that if Blaine directly recruited F18 or was approached by F18 and then engaged with her to recruit, is that saying in that bylaw, like, is that an existing bylaw that says the members would have to have the opportunity to review any candidate and who from the party approached them in?
Exactly. I mean, it's
wow.
I'm trying to get through it quickly here without going into a lot of detail. It's if you read back my Twitter feed or in the TJ Andrew Waugh's article from May 7th, you can see this. But basically this is a reaction to the way F18 was acclaimed in that riding, which they squeezed out the other candidate and rushed the nomination through on a deadline set by the party in such a way that it was not possible for any other candidates to compete against F18. And that's not my opinion. That's a matter of public record. That's the opinion of the riding association. So that's and this has all been reported. So another one here. This is around donations.
Donations. And you know what? To your point, we made reference to this a bit ago. We didn't dive deep into it, but we're one of the only provinces that allows provincial parties to go outside the province, take money from people, bring it back to the province, and run a campaign on it. Like, it's.
So this is like, is this them trying to cancel that, Shawn?
Well, no more than 5% of the total revenue of the party. So basically cap it. So right now, Higgs is heavily incentivized to go across the country to all these, far right groups, or to work with Rebel News to generate all this outrage money against trans kids and in favor of parental rights. And they're saying, well, if we put a cap on that of 5%, there'll be far less incentive to do that. So that was one of the resolutions as well.
Wow.
The policy development. This is another big one where, again, I'll try to summarize it, have policy town halls. They should be held in person. They should solicit feedback, which is all kind of no-brainer stuff, but all stuff that has never happened since Higgs won a majority. So just all these opportunities again for to try to get the members back involved. And this one was interesting, and it raised a question for me. I said, so my tweet on this was, this one, last one on bilingualism is interesting. How unilingual has the party leadership and staff become under Premier Higgs? Has this party leadership become exclusively Anglophone and not, reflect the 1/3 of the province whose mother tongue is French? So it was a series of resolutions mandating that key positions in the party's office, in the provincial executive, be bilingual.
Now,
So
can
yeah,
anyone from the party put in a resolution like this? Is that
I believe so. Yeah.
right?
So
So they would have just, all those progressives would have been putting this in.
right. So the 80 people, who knows how many of them were this rebel group, so to speak, but out of the 80 people, enough of them submitted these to basically say, we want, to try and wrestle back control of our party before the election. And Higgs canned it. He canned it
Well, tip
outright.
of the hat to these anonymous policy people who did all this work, because oh my gosh, like that is so impressive that they at
Yeah.
least tried.
Yeah, it's pretty
That breaks my
phenomenal.
heart, actually. That
You
breaks
know,
my heart.
I have to say, I'm a policy working chair right now. I was, and I just got back on for the Greens, and like I can say, when it comes to policy, our leader is David Kuhn is a really like intentional and has a deep memory on what the Constitution says. And like I saw what you were putting out there for the PC, some of that's circa 1985, 1992. Like there's so many pieces what you're listing there that they're just saying, hey, actually, we want to debate what this already says and add to it or whatever. It's like this is like, I hear Corey Tenike all the time on Curse of Politics and Hurley Burley, and he's supposed to be one of these sterling, high level conservative commentators, leaders, organizers, not a politician, but certainly a party influencer. And he will often say, listen, political parties are private clubs. They are not public organizations. They do not answer to the public. In this case, the private club can't even, like the leader of the private club can't even reconcile with the past resolutions by the looks of it to what the membership decided. It's not even a
Right.
private club.
So I think what we can conclude from seeing this is Blaine Higgs has completely hijacked the party apparatus.
Yeah.
And all these voices of dissent who would moderate what he's been doing have been basically frozen out to the point where they don't even want to hear from them at a meeting. I mean, they don't want to have Blaine Higgs in front of a camera debating these policies with people and explaining the reasons why they had to come forward with them and having Blaine defend it just before the election. So bad optics. So to hell with democracy. Can the AGM, which they could have had last year. They had
it's been 2 years, like since
right.
they've had
Oh
one.
yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
Why they had a election in 2020 during the pandemic. They could have had an AGM. Could have figured it out.
You cannot make up the muting or the like tempering of business as usual in a democracy that's been going on here for close to 200 years. Like that boggles my mind, and unfortunately we have to end this on a somber note this evening. But geez, Shawn, thanks for bringing that up here.
Please.
I think that's really important for us to keep an eye on.
I think we need to pick up next week here, Shawn. If you can clear your schedule for us, I think
every Wednesday night.
Yeah, I love talking about this stuff. Yeah, bring it.
Yeah, please. Let's keep this going for a couple of weeks. Hopefully, the Liberals and the Conservatives have more to announce. We didn't get to the other three ridings, but man, just this one alone, I think we did it some more justice. This riding needs a lot of justice done to it. You can just see how the party has turned on its head because of some of the implications of the candidate in this riding. So, hey, it's all fair.
Yep.
All is fair in politics. Just kidding.
And love and war.